Hi, in the upcoming few videos, we will be doing example sums on the topic of past adjustments. Let's go to the first example. Example 1. P and Q were partners in a firm sharing profits and losses equally. Their fixed capitals were rupees 2 lakh and rupees 3 lakh respectively. The partnership deed provided for interest on capital at 12% per annum. For the year ended 31st March 2019, the profits of the firm were distributed without providing for interest on capital. Pass the necessary adjustment entry to rectify the error. Now we understand from the sum that interest on capital has been omitted to be allowed. So to rectify the error, we need to provide interest on capital at 12% per annum on the capitals of P and Q. We'll begin with the working note. Working note. Table showing adjustments to be made. The first column is the particulars column. There are two partners, P and Q. For each partner, a debit column and a credit column. And finally, the firm column, and again debit column and credit column for the firm. The error is omission of interest on capital. So I will allow interest on capital. Allowing interest on capital. And the rate is at 12% per annum. For allowing interest on capital, we need to credit the partners and debit the firm. Interest on capital for P is 12% of 2 lakh, which comes to 24,000. Whereas the interest on capital for Q is 12% on 3 lakh, which comes to 36,000. We need to add these two amounts and it comes up to 60,000, and since we have credited the partner, we need to debit the firm with this amount. This is the only error which has been made. Next step is to balance the firm. So to balance the firm column, I need to write 60,000 in the credit of the firm. And this amount has to be distributed in the profit sharing ratio and put in the opposite column for the partners. The profit sharing ratio is equal, so I put 30,000 debit of P, 30,000 debit of Q, and when we debit the partner, it is called reversal of profit. And the ratio in which we reverse the profits is 1:1. On the other hand, in case we had credited the partner, we would have written distribution of profit. So debiting the partner is reversal of profit and crediting the partner is called distribution of profit. So the next step is to ascertain the total of each of these partners and the firm. 30,000, 24,000, 30,000, 36,000, the firm total 60,000 and 60,000. Next, we need to ascertain the net effect. $6,000 debit, and for Q it's rupees 6,000 credit. So the solution will determine which capital method is being followed. It says here the fixed capitals were 2 lakh and rupees 3 lakh respectively. So the fixed capital method is being followed. So we will pass the adjustment journal entry through the partner's current account. So we'll draw a journal format. Date particulars, LF, debit rupees and credit rupees. We'll have to debit P's current account. So P's current account, debit to Q's current account. 6,000 rupees for P and 6,000 rupees for Q. We'll write the narration. Being adjustment entry passed to rectify error. So this is a solution. It starts with a working note showing the table showing adjustments to be made, and finally we will form the journal entry, and that is a solution to the problem. Example 2. Ram, Mohan and Sohan, sharing profits equally, have capitals of rupees 1,20,000, rupees 90,000 and rupees 60,000 respectively. For the year ended 31st March 2019, interest on capital was credited to them at 6% instead of 5%. Give adjustment journal entry. The error in this case is that the interest on capital has been allowed at 6% instead of 5%. So extra 1% interest on capital has been allowed. Our approach would be to reverse the 1% interest on capital that has been allowed. Let's begin with the working note. Working note, table showing adjustment to be made. particulars. First partner is Ram, divided into debit and credit. Second partner Mohan, divided into debit and credit. Third partner Sohan, divided into debit and credit. And the final column for the firm, which is again divided into debit and credit. So we'll begin by reversing the interest on capital at 1%. So reversing interest on capital at 1%. When we reverse interest on capital, we need to debit the partner and credit the firm. 1% of Ram's capital, 1,20,000, is rupees 1,200. For Mohan, 1% of 90,000 is rupees 900. And for Sohan, 1% of 60,000 is rupees 600. Now we need to total these amounts, 1,200 plus 900 plus 600, which is equal to 2,700, and put it in the credit column of the firm. The errors are rectified. We need to balance the firm, for which I will write 2,700 in the debit of the firm. The profit sharing ratio is equal, so I'll divide 2,700 equally by 3 and insert 900 to the credit of each partner, because I have debited firm with 2,700. So 900 against credit of Ram, and 900 credit of Mohan, and 900 credit of Sohan. And since I have credited the partner, I will write distribution of profit. And the ratio which I have distributed is equal, 1:1:1. The next step is to ascertain the total of each column. 1,200 debit Ram, 900 credit Ram, 900 debit Mohan, 900 credit Mohan, 600 debit Sohan, 900 credit Sohan, 2,700 debit firm, and 2,700 credit firm. We need to find out the net effect. $300 debit for Ram, nothing for Mohan, and 300 credit for Sohan. It is not specified that it's fixed capital method which is being followed, so we will assume fluctuating capital method and pass the adjustment entry through the partner's capital account. So we'll go ahead with the solution. Journal, date, second column particulars, LF number, debit rupees, and final column is credit rupees. We need to debit Ram's capital account. Ram's capital account debit to Sohan's capital account. amount is 300 and narration adjustment entry passed to rectify the error. So this is the answer to example 2, where interest has been allowed at a higher rate than what it was supposed to be. A few more videos will be coming up on the same topic of past adjustments.